you from.
But Mitch, you look great.
Hey, thank you. That's the only reason we're doing this, so you can see that. I just commented, now I lost count how many years it's been since we worked together, and I probably shouldn't say more than.
It's very difficult to understand. But so is it. But so is this business. So.
These are like. Yeah.
I'm gonna call Andrew.
Hold on. I come close to this any better.
Yes, you look a little younger.
How's my audio?
It's unbelievably choppy. I'm gonna call Andrew.
I'm here. Yeah. Hold on.
Right. Okay, hold on.
Hi. It's crazy as it sounds. If we need to, you can call myself.
It's terrible.
Okay.
Terrible.
All right.
I'm calling Andrew.
Well, we're going to try also turning off our camera. Give your phone.
Hey, it's terrible.
Yeah. Here. What we should we just put this on speaker?
You know what's weird? Even this phone call is not good.
Oh wow. On speaker, this.
That's great.
And then you just want to use audio.
His is not going to be for that unless I've
got it. Okay. All right. So, do you want to get in the video again? Some context.
Okay, and that works fine. Yeah. And oh, there you go. Okay. Maybe I'll put this on speaker. Let me try it. Hold on. Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay.
It's probably a little bit like when you're working in Russia, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit like that, but I feel safer with you guys.
You know what?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Or
Yeah, I have a headphone. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. All right. I already did that. Thank you, Mitch. Okay. I have a question now. Can you guys see me? And I look clear to you? All right. I wish you guys look clear to me, but you look like fine, blurry people. Oh, that's good. And I'm doing like the Albert Brooks thing. I put a nice shirt on, but I've got my crazy pajama pants on. That's comedy. Great. Okay. Okay.
turn it over to them for their questions, but just sort of set the stage. I told them about your background, and one of the things that I've always found interesting in your work is that you've had a little bit, I think, of a broader range of experiences. A lot of your colleagues in showrunners, starting with the fact that you begin originally on script writing track, right?
Right.
So can you talk a minute about how you feel your early documentary work from your eventually getting into the scripting side of things?
Right. Well, it's interesting. Before I was in news and documentaries, let me hold on a second. I'm hearing an echo now. Just a second. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I go, when I was a kid, I loved the Dick Van Dyke Show, and I thought if you could live in New Rochelle, New York, and marry Tyler Moore and hang out with really funny people, that was a great way to make a living. So I was always interested in comedy, and I got to news and documentaries kind of through a side door. So when I got into news and documentaries, I learned how to write under a deadline. I learned how to shoot guerrilla style. I learned how to edit. I learned how to organize my time. And all of those skills helped me as a showrunner. All of my documentaries, even though I did a lot of serious subjects, I was always holding back because I wanted to make up information and not report actual information. So I kind of knew I was always headed for entertainment, but all of that documentary experience really helped me. In fact, Mitch, as you know, the first show that we did in Los Angeles was duet with two showrunners who I knew more about making a show than they did. It's one of the reasons I got so much experience so quickly is I had been on all of these shows before and I knew every aspect of it.
And Judd, I'm curious because once you make a shift to scripting, in the course of the last 20 years, you've also seen rise of so-called programs. It was unscripted, some limited documentary, a whole lot more. And then recently, we've been going on in sort of hybrid formats that borrow both scripted and unscripted. So, can you talk about how, at all in recent years, realms outside of scripted shows have affected the work you still do now on scripted shows?
That's a really interesting question. This conversation the other day with a burgeoning writer, producer, director, and I think the access that you guys have to writing something, shooting something, putting it on the internet, getting some attention is an advantage we never even dreamt of. I mean, we didn't have iPhones we could shoot things on. We didn't have an internet to put things on. And I even literally just wrote a script that had not a documentary feel, but kind of a reality feel to it. And I think you have to have a much broader view of creating and shooting and presenting your work, because these elements are all around us now. It's not just you sit in a room and go, what can I write inside 4 walls or 3 walls? I think it's had a tremendous effect. You know, I just watched a show called The Nick, which was as much a dramatic, amazing show about a New York City hospital in 1900 as it was a documentary about the history of medicine and class wars in New York City. And I don't think it would have felt that way 20 years ago. It would have been much more fictionalized in a dramatic way. This felt so real. It was amazing. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but I think you should see it. It's very interesting.
Do any other shows like that come to mind that you think are good models for the students to look at going forward? I
do. It's interesting you should ask. I just for research and entertainment, I just watched a show that was recommended to me called Catastrophe. As Mitch knows, I write a lot about relationships, and this is a really cool show on Netflix. I think it's Netflix.
I think it's at
Amazon, I'm sorry. And what's amazing from somebody who writes about relationships, and what you want to do is feel very real, very believable. This show is written and acted and shot in such a way that you really do feel like a voyeur. Again, it's a feeling of there's no distance between you and the action and the story. Whereas in years past, when you watched fiction, you knew you were sitting in an audience. And today, it's intimate dialogue, an intimate story is so real when it's executed well. And oddly enough, I think that's kind of a documentary feel. It's a very real feel, and therefore very engaging.
Personally, for those who haven't seen it, I've seen it. We liked it. I'm glad you brought it up. Remember, there's also an interesting origin story about the show, which speaks to the world that you're discussing, the reality of these things. It serves the two principals, Rob and Sharon, who are successful comedians and actors and writers already themselves, did not know one another and connected over Twitter because they liked one another's work and forged what became obviously a very productive work partnership over it. Right? You know, as the feel of the show that years past would have been two people who did have a history together, working, living, they each have their own lives and together. I think fairly.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that, but when I see the names of the credits, my assumption is that they've been a couple a long time.
That's a good one, right?
It's a wonder. It's wonderful.
You touched on one other element that I didn't want to raise. At the risk of talking, Mike, I think it's an important one for the students to hear. You're also, I think, so unusual among people with your degree of experience in that you have both written as a team and not.
Yes.
And the students know from their own collective efforts and from Norman and other teachers and guests who come through. That's both sides are pretty important in the grand scheme of TV writing, right?
Yes.
Can you speak to your own experiences, how you found yourself with a partner, how not, and what you think are, the pluses and minuses of each, and what the students should be aware of as they embark on their own writing careers?
Yes, well, I had a very, very circuitous route into a partnership and a very clean one out of one. When I started in using documentaries, I had a partner. We were doing that together, and we kind of went on this journey together. And it lasted almost about 30 years. And it's only in the last 3 that I have that partnership ended. And now I'm going to go back. This business where we create and execute filmed, taped, live material is a partnership whether you are writing alone or you're not. It's incredibly collaborative. If you've all worked in restaurants, I assume some of you might have or might be. I always think it's like a grand restaurant. And you really have to depend on everybody else. So you have to have a singular vision, but boy, is it a shared experience. So I don't know how it is to write, let's see, I was going to say I don't know how it is to write drama with a partner, but I've done that too. I was somebody who never thought I would ever have a partner, and my partner was somebody who thought he'd never have a partner. And we were assigned to each other, and it just worked. It was kismet for a long time. And I think then what happened is, after lots of experience, lots of projects, lots of time, I just decided I wanted to shed that part of my life and move on for a variety of reasons. If I get any deeper, I'll have to pay you each $400 for the hour. But I think there are people who also take on partners for projects. It's interesting, Mitch. I'm writing a movie right now with Barry Kemp, and Barry was my mentor when I was coming up. And I would never partner with him on any kind of permanent basis, but this was an interesting experience. I'm being very vague because I'm trying to answer your question directly. If a project or a person complements your talents and makes the process better, it's worth doing. I'm getting involved with the Duplass company, hopefully. Those guys are amazing. They're brothers and partners. It's a very delicate, complicated thing to describe. I don't know how to look for a partner.
Say your name before you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Rebecca. Hello. I have just a technical question about trying to bring together both aspects of being a showrunner and a writer. So you approach a script. How much do you allow your technical knowledge of how shooting works and the locations and just all of that affect how you write the script?
Very good question. When I write first of all, you have to know, are you writing a single camera? Are you writing a multicam? Are you writing an ensemble? You have to think about what the big picture. So I know if I'm writing a multicam, I'm not going to open the show on the tarmac at JFK. So there are some very broad considerations. When I'm writing a pilot, I give myself a little bit more leeway without being unrealistic, just so I can maybe paint a more detailed, more vivid picture. I stretch the limitations a little bit. I wrote a pilot last year that is filled with music I'll never be able to afford. And I put it in there because it's so evocative of what I'm trying to say that I put it in there. And I suppose if somebody wanted to buy the script, they would maybe try to pay for the music, or I'd have to rewrite that. But I put that music in, knowing full well I might not be able to use it, but it was very, very important for the pilot. Writing a pilot is very different than writing a series, although they're married in a very intimate way.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm making my way around.
Hi, I'm David.
Hi, David.
So I have a question about what you said before about how you feel like today's TV is more real. And so I was sort of applying that idea to comedy in my mind, and I sort of noticed there are a lot fewer sitcoms nowadays that have like a laugh track that sort of help, I guess, the audience feel like they're part of an audience, like you said. And nowadays you're seeing, documentaries and other styles other than like the traditional sitcoms that you'd see with Dick Van Dyke or Seinfeld or Everybody Loves Raymond or Friends or something like that. And I was wondering, do you think that that's going to continue to evolve, or it's going to be more of a cycle that goes back to this idea of needing to be in a community environment watching the show?
It's a really good question. I want to mention, by the way, another show that I think is amazing and falls directly into what we're talking about. Louis, the Louis C.K. show, is as real and intimate and as any show I've ever seen, really. It's, I guess you could call it a comedy. Some people say it is, some people say it isn't. I think there's always going to be a need for traditional sitcoms. It's the comfort food of television. But as the marketplace splinters, you'll be able to go and see that. I think it'll keep evolving into what we're seeing now and even more. I don't think there'll be a real return to traditional broadcast sitcoms. I think there'll always be a narrowcast sitcom. If that answers your question.
Thank you.
Related, one of the things we really talk about is how changes in consumption and distribution platforms and devices and Netflix and Amazon now, but obviously YouTube, even Facebook. How the platforms are changing consumption. Are you getting some effects in Hollywood where people are talking about doing outline episodes or doing construction, seeing more for the digital platforms, traditional networks?
Mitch, absolutely. In the last couple of years, I've done some drama, and which has really been interesting for me. And I always, back 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I always thought like a limited series would be such a cool thing, like they do in Britain all the time, and nobody would ever do it in the States. And now you're seeing people say, oh, that would be a great 6-part Netflix, Amazon, whatever series, and you go, well, that's fantastic. That's another way to tell stories that has become economically viable, where before nobody would want it. You could do a series, True Detective. Some of the foreign formats that are coming to the States. I'll tell you something. You guys can hear me as a writer. I keep saying I have another project, but I have a project that I'm trying to sell. That would be a great limited series. I couldn't sell it that way 8, 9 years ago. You couldn't do it. So I think all of these outlets are a great way. They foster and are growing new storytelling forms. Some of which have been around in Europe for a while.
On that front, the last one you mentioned, trying to sell a limited series, given the economic realities that with not enough episodes, there's not the traditional syndication goal yet that helps pay for a show. Are you likely to be able to get a single writer to say yes and be able to make the show, or will you likely have to look to multiple windows, foreign buyers, things like that?
I think that's a project by project question. The show that I'm trying to sell to, I'm doing this work with Sony International now, and it's opened my eyes to a whole new marketplace. What I'd love to do, like with Homeland and some of these other shows, I would like to make this foreign first, and then sell the format back to America. That's the goal for this particular show, because it has a very international flavor. I think it's a project by project basis. I'm trying to see if there's any real other examples. It's very hard to get, from Rebecca's question earlier, if you're looking at a smaller outlet, then you really do have to have your budget hat on when you write, because you can scare a lot of people away with a concept that you think is going to end up on with a smaller buyer.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well.
You mentioned that you're currently working on 2 projects, so I was just kind of curious, how many projects should you be working on a time, and how do you divide your attention between multiple projects, if that's the case?
So you're asking about my procrastination process.
Procrastination process, I have one too.
Yes. Well, let's see. As a writer first, and a producer and a director second. I believe guys are all stars. Nobody does anything unless there's something to do. And there's only something to do when a writer writes it. And when I get inspired enough to think about an idea late at night or first thing in the morning, I write it. And I work on it in my notebooks and whatever like that. And so right now, I'm working on 2 projects actively. A screenplay that I was really a lot about my experience in Russia. I've never done anything so directly autobiographical. And interestingly enough, I was pitching the movie to my agents who don't want to sell movies. And they said to me, Mitch, to go back to your other question, this would be so great as a limited series. So now I'm thinking about, do I want to try to sell it that way? There's a direct example of how the marketplace is affecting creativity. Okay. So I'm thinking about that, and I may do it. I'm not sure. So I'm doing that. This other project with my old mentor came up, and I just didn't say no because it's such a delight to work with him in this new environment. While I'm doing all that, I have a meeting on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week with my agents to develop new shows. Now, that part of my process is just planting seeds. I don't know what's going to come up with that. But the things that have started to grow that I'm watering right now and really working on are two screenplays. And I have another project that's written that I'm trying to sell. So that's my business plan working. And I can do all of this right now because I'm between active projects. The fourth thing I'm doing, as Mitch may have told you, I've been doing a lot of this consulting in Russia. And I'm getting ready to probably go back in about a month. And that's more of an adventure and a journey, and the experience is more challenging than the work. But it's why when I go over there, I'm always working on my own writing. So I don't know if I've answered your question. I tend to take on a lot. And the ones that I'm trying to actively sell and make money, that gets a certain cache of effort. And the ones that I'm writing take their own special cache of effort. But I take on a lot.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Leschek.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, I was curious how, when you're running a room, what sort of things do you look for in your writers' room, like goal to hire and stuff like that? Like, does it come from a word of mouth sort of thing, or like agents that contact you?
Great question. God, I've got a 4-day class on putting a room together. It's a lot of word of mouth. I never listen to agents because they would sell you. They would sell you a member of ISIS in your room if they could make some money on him or her. I'll tell you an interesting story about being a young writer. I hired a young writer as word of mouth one time, and I met with him, and he was very intelligent and very soft-spoken. And for the first week of the show, he didn't sit at the table. He leaned against the wall away from everybody. He said nothing. The second week, he came closer and pulled up a chair and still wasn't at the table. And he said nothing. The third week, he pulled up a chair to the corner of the table and he pitched 4 things, and they all got in the script. Now, I had other people sitting around that table making all kinds of noise for 3 weeks, and nothing got in. And those people were trying to make themselves known and make noise and participate in a kind of a desperate way. He was observing and listening and getting into the flow of the room. And I use him as an example. You don't have to make noise just to make noise. And he was incredibly effective, and I use that story a lot because a room is like, I always call it the rapids of comedy. And you don't want to be a boulder in the rapids of comedy. You want to be a floating raft going really fast in the paddle. And you can start out slow, but once you get up to speed, you have to be completely in the flow of that room. So I look for thoughtfulness, I look for comedy, obviously. If somebody has comedy and story and dialogue and understands the flow of the room, that's like a grand slam. And I'd rather have a lot of utility players than somebody who's only a joke guy in a room. I can hire a joke guy 1 night or 2 nights a week, but I also need somebody to go, you have no stories, what's a good story? So there are utility players and there are home run hitters. I'd rather have a room full of utility players myself. And it's a family.
Hey, Joe, just to ask about one maybe added element in that mix. You know, I think back to shows we've done together or others that I've seen where, in addition, I think the strength of some writers on certain characters can, I think, be an added opportunity, but also challenge for you as, let's say, the conductor of the orchestra, right? So if that's the case, and part of what's good about a longer running show is that different writers tend to write best for certain characters, or maybe represent the character and or the actor better than others in the room. How do you get the best out of the collective while also, I'll say, honoring people's individual strengths?
That's a great question. You know, it's funny when you do a lot of television and you see people who don't understand how it works. They go, "Oh, what character do you write?" You go, no, it doesn't work that way. The best room writes every character and every story with general equal strength. There are some people who just like have a better feel for a character, and you can use that person in the room as kind of an editor and kind of a go-to person. But you get that can be very dangerous if you rely on one person for one character, because if that person moves on, or sometimes an actor or an actress will get addicted to that writer. They know that that writer is looking out for them. There's a lot of politics sometimes that play there. But and sometimes you'll have a writer maybe who has a stand-up background who can create a secondary character that then is their voice that then grows into a series. We had this. Mitch, do you know Cindy Campanero?
As a matter of fact, on Exit 57 many years ago, which she was on with people, Stephen Colbert.
Oh, hilarious! Well, I did a show in New York about 5 years ago with Sherry Shepard, and it was really, we had Richard Kind, we had Boatman, we had a lot of great people, and Cindy was on the show. And we were pitching around a story, and she came up with a character, and she ended up playing the character on the show. And it was really an interesting experience. So, yeah, it's the best rooms write everybody together, and you can have somebody who's a spice of a character who you can go to for jokes and dialogue. Sometimes you guys look so clear to me like a regular picture, and sometimes it's like anime.
Hi, it's Rebecca again.
Hi, Rebecca.
I just have, in regards to if you are hired for a show where the idea of it, the concept of it is not your own.
Yes.
So you're writing for someone else's idea, how to approach that, what works, what doesn't work, that kind of thing.
Great question, especially for new writers. Unless you write the most amazing pilot in the world, which you might, you will be writing on somebody else's show. So here's the first thing you have to do. First thing, as a creative person, does that show speak to you? Do you know, sometimes you just want to take a job to get in, but if you have the luxury of choosing, or at least choosing a path, you have to say to yourself, does this speak to me as a writer? Do I have something to say? Okay, that's the first question. If you need the job, just take the job. Do your homework. You know, if the main character in episode 1 hates wheat toast, don't write an episode where he's starting the show by eating wheat toast. I mean, really do your homework. Show the showrunner that you have immersed yourself in as much of the material as possible. It's very, very impressive to come in and talk to a young writer who says, my gosh, in this episode, I saw this. What if he did that? Wow, I saw the 3-episode arc where they were afraid to fly? What if they got over it? You know what I mean? Really immerse yourself. Become a student of that show. You would not believe how many writers come in and make the mistake of ignorance. There's no need for it. It's competitive enough. Get whatever edge you can get before you walk in the door. And you want to, it's funny, guys. I mean, I keep telling you, but I've been doing this a long time, and I just had a meeting with a company that I would love to do business with, and I immersed myself. I did everything that I'm telling you to do, and I saw things that I would do differently. And the tactician in me said, do I bring that up? Do I don't bring it up? If I'm asked, what do I say? You should be prepared to have some productive criticism, but use your heads and don't insult people. There's a very fine line on when to bring up, well, I would have done it differently. It turns out my meeting went so well, I did not bring any of that up, and I'm glad I didn't. So really become a student of that project and show respect to the people you are trying to have hire you.
I was going to ask Mitch about this later, but I figure your opinion would give up.
Start again. I can't really hear you.
It's just in terms of the art of shooting, as much as you want to say it, like it's not good like you over like a quiz or just to be too much or too full of something, but just in terms of like trying to speak better above your pay grade and try to just navigate that political water, just trying to speak with these people and remember you. They'll be interested in what you're saying. Maybe not now, but perhaps further down, or when it's okay to shoot an email or like what's like a call or in regards to that.
Yeah. Well.
Sorry, for context.
Yes.
I think everyone, almost everyone, is also has a job or has had jobs.
Right.
And Rebecca in particular, I think that probably more her experience, maybe even the rest of the group. So the questions, I think, especially well informed because she has contact already with so many other writers that you and I regularly work with on the set of various shows she's done.
Okay, so this is something on the bottom of that totem pole. Just what's appropriate, not appropriate, or just like what works and what doesn't work. Yeah, I know.
Well, first of all, I want to say next to you guys and to you and you guys, you have every question you guys have asked has been so. I can tell this is a great program, and you guys are really enthusiastic and smart people. I must say, kudos to this program because the questions are great. Okay, there's a two-part answer to your question. The one part is be true to yourself and be authentic, because obsequiousness and the overschmooze can be deadly, especially for really busy people. So you want to be tactful, you want to be complimentary. Thank you notes are really good. It's so funny giving you guys these answers now because I'm going through the exact same thing. I'm courting a company, and even at my ripe old age, I'm making the same decision right now that you are asking me about. I don't want to look overly schmoozy, but I want to say something. So you don't want to bug people. You know the guy? Have you guys heard of this show called Superstore?
Okay.
I don't watch a lot of network stuff anymore, but there's a show on NBC called Superstore. It was created by a guy who named Justin Spitzer, who was on The Office. When Justin first came to Hollywood, he knew me through some family friend or whatever like that, and I helped him out. And he did this just beautifully. He was respectful. He didn't bug me every week. He would email me with a question. Now, I offered to him. I said, "God, you can call me if you have something you want me to read." And I was so proud to see him rise up through the ranks because he did it really well with a lot of tact. He wasn't obsequious at all. I mean, let your conscience be your guide if you have a good conscience.
Thank you.
Hey, Judd, really, this is getting very narrow, but it goes back to something you and I talked about, I'm sure, nearly 30 years ago, and I don't think there's any one answer, but it'll be illuminating for the students to hear yours. When it comes in particular to hiring your assistant or the assistant for the entire writer's room, do you actively like to hire someone who is a budding writer? Do you actively avoid it, or do you not care?
Years ago, when we started, it was almost a rule to not hire a writer's assistant who wanted to be a writer, because that, I don't know why, but nobody wanted to hire a writer's assistant who wanted to be a writer.
The studio people put the fear of God in us about ramifications around unsubmitted scripts or something. That's all I remember.
Yes, there was you couldn't read anything. You didn't want anybody in the room who could steal or see that you were stealing their ideas. And in the last, I don't know, 15 years, you can't find a writer's assistant who does not want to be a writer. So what I do is they generally want to be writers, and I read their material, and I talk to them about the show. And first of all, their writer's assistant skills have to come first. And then I say, hey, if you want to pitch. Let's see what happens. I'll take ideas from everybody. I have shifted. The business has shifted. I can't find a writer's assistant who doesn't want to be a writer anymore. And then I go to myself, well, one day I'll be working for them, so I'll be nice to them. Going back to the schmooze factor.
Hi, this is Connor. I have a question about... there.
Okay, I don't know if anybody's talking.
This is my first phone. So you mentioned a couple things that seemed like they could be a little contradictory at times about a writer's room. One was that a writer's room is like a family, but then you also talked about how there can be competition within the writer's room. And I was curious how you handle the competition.
Let's see. Well, I'm trying to figure out what part that I said that was contradictory. It really is, it should be a team effort. There can be office politics in a competition. First of all, everybody's competing to get stuff in the script. Whether they say they're competing or not, they want their material in the script. And if you've put together a great room, that's a really great, like putting together an infield, all the competition goes towards the final product. There are office politics. There are people who I've seen over the years try to sandbag other people. And I've seen that in rooms. And as a showrunner, I'll take the offending party aside, or I'll take them both aside if there's a real conflict and go, guys, come on, what's going on here? And I've had situations where I've had to let somebody go because the toxicity in the room is hurting my job. And what I do is I go, guys, this has to stop. We're all on the same team. This is slowing down the process, and give them a second chance. And then I go, this doesn't work anymore. So there's healthy competition, and then there's destructive competition. And you guys, I mean, again, that's in any office situation. That's in any endeavor.
Hey, Judd, I'm thinking, in my experience, let's say on the news side of things, there have been a couple of cases where I've hired people who were very good producers, but I realized that they were the wrong match for what it was we were doing. You know, that we were in a live environment and they should be off doing documentaries, for instance. And it's hard to let them know that, but happily, I've now seen them do great documentaries and get great credits. Have you had any similar instances where you, for instance, hey, you're a really good writer, but a comedy series room is not the right place for you?
Yeah, I've had it. I've had it many times, and I wish I was getting better at putting rooms together. Sometimes you look for the things that are right, and it turns out to be wrong. I had somebody. I had somebody on the show who was very, very thoughtful, and was not a great comedy writer, and she went on to be a really successful drama writer. But I thought I could use her talents in the comedy room, and it just didn't work out. I've had other people, this is astounding to me, I've had other people who come in who give the most amazing meetings, who've written really great scripts. They're new and fresh, and I think, oh my God, I've found somebody great. And the minute you put them in the room environment, and whether it's the competition or the collective, they just fold. They don't perform at all. It's a very delicate balance. It's like fielding a team. It's like putting together a band. Sometimes you strike gold by accident, you know? It's very difficult. I wish I was better at it. I made a couple of mistakes 2 years ago that bit me in the ass.
My name's Chris Cherry.
Hey, Chris.
I was wondering, like, with the way that sort of TV storytelling has changed in the last 15 years or so, where it's like, and like show running, where it's a lot more sort of personality, not sort of like, it's less like we're setting up an engine to tell like 100 different stories. It's more like we're telling this one long story. Does that affect how you're putting rooms together now? How rooms are being put together? Is it less writers? Is it more?
If I understand your question, I ask your question one more time.
Like, does the way that like more kind of serialized storytelling and more kind of like auteur show running, you know, where it's like one person telling the story, does that change how rooms are put together?
Yes. When I started, I always prefer a smaller room. 7 to 9 bodies is what I can manage properly. I inherited a show one time years ago that had 17 writers that I didn't hire. I literally had them in a separate building with a messenger running back and forth. I'm involved, hopefully soon, in a project where it's an auteur, and I'm not the auteur, and the auteurs are writing a lot of them by themselves and only having consultants come in. You know, like it's like a room of 2 or 3 people with 2 or 3 revolving consultants, and it's not really how I would prefer to work. But I really like the project, so I'd like to get in the door on that. Yes, it's very much affecting how you put the rooms together. In broadcast, no. In network primetime television, it's still healthy-sized rooms of a team, hopefully lasting the whole series. But I think in some of these smaller, independent, Netflixy, Amazon-y things, it's a different paradigm now. You know, if you look at the Nick, which I referred to earlier, Soderbergh directed all of them, and the 2 guys that created it wrote all of them, which was amazing. And you could feel it. It was wonderful.
Hey, it's Connor again. So how did you make the transition from just being a staff writer up to being a showrunner? What was that like, and what kind of, I guess, skills were you showing that got you that position?
Well, I did it the really traditional way. I was on staffs. I kind of rose up through the ranks. I'd like to think on determination and some talent and my contributions. So I started to get some notice from the people above me who I just thought I had the ability. And I was very, very ambitious, and I had a great mentor, and I had opportunities to create shows. And back in the day, when you really came up through the ranks, my agent and my mentor said, "You're not ready. You're not ready. Stand up at the plate more and take more swings. You'll know when you're ready." And then it just kind of evolved where I had an idea that I wanted to sell. And I was really, really determined. What happens to me now with my position in the business is somebody becomes a superstar pretty quickly through some internet thing or some idea that they sell, and an agent or a studio or a production company will buy something, and there'll be a lot of heat around this person, and they can't run a show. They're really not ready. And that's where I make some of my living. They hire me to come in and mentor somebody else. I did it really the old-fashioned way, I hate to say. But I will say there's a lot of value to that as well. I did it, hard work.
John, along those lines, and I'm going to continue with your baseball metaphor. You were talking earlier about the young writer who took about 3 weeks to suss out a room. To look at it in baseball terms, you've played almost every role, right? You've been the promising rookie. You've been the veteran brought in because he knows how to win. You've been the coach. You've been the player. You've been the player coach, right? Mm-hmm. And now, hearing you describe all of your projects, it sounds like project to project, month to month, you're still called upon at different times to play different roles.
Yes.
Right? And in show terms, hopefully you're soon selling and then running your own show, but you still get called, as in the case of the Russian things, to adapt, or these days to be, an experienced hand, but not necessarily, as you said, the showrunner. With all your experience, how do you now suss out the business and creative needs of any of those circumstances and figure out, just as you were planning for meetings, how best to bring what you can bring best?
Oh, boy. In many ways, I approach it like you guys would be approaching it when you finish your program. I still approach this as a new, fresh writer with every project that comes to me or I seek. At one time in my career, I was the flavor of the week, and I got a lot of heat. I was the guy, and I had a partner then. We were like, oh, we have to have these guys, and that was a very different atmosphere than now. I mean, now I'm the wise old veteran, which is a really weird role for me. And with my experience, I told my agents, I give you a real life example. So a couple of years ago, I did some Disney shows, and it was a lot of work, and it was awful. It was an opportunity, whatever. And I went to Russia. I had this amazing time in Russia. Just as a human being, it was an amazing experience, and creatively not as great as I usually enjoyed. So I did my own writing. I came back and I said to my agents, I want to elevate. I don't want to do some shitty show. I see some of my colleagues with less experience than I, and they're co-execs or consultants on Masters of Sex or Mad Men or these other shows. And I see these names of people I've worked with going, seriously? Why can't I do that? So I said to them, that's what I want to do. And otherwise, I'll go back and do some of this international stuff. It's fascinating. So maybe I could pick and choose a little bit more now, but I approach it with what is really going to fill me up creatively? What's going to fill me up experientially? And then I go about it with all of the enthusiasm and the techniques and the guidelines and the advice I'm giving you, I give to myself again. Like, I think it was Rebecca who asked about schmoozing, who asked about what to say and how to do it. And I'm using those same things today. I still do it. That's the young, fresh, naive writer in me that's still beaten down but still alive. And I'm learning about this international stuff. Like I really try to keep current. The idea of taking something that I've written and selling it there first and then bringing it back. I'm working on another project, Mitch. Remember Jamie Widows, of course? Okay, so Jamie and I, Jamie has the rights to a show that's been a hit in Spain. He and I are trying to sell it domestically and internationally at the same time. That's my meeting on Tuesday. So trying to stay current and trying to say what's interesting, what's out there, what's the new, I never thought 3 years ago I'd be having a meeting at Netflix or Amazon or Hulu. I mean, they didn't exist. So
Hey, real quick, Rebecca and I both
Can't hear you.
Rebecca and I both have follow-ups, probably maybe different aspects of what you said.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go first.
Hold on, Mitch. Hold on. I'm gonna pour one more drop of coffee. Okay, hold on.
I love it. Let him in, Connor.
I'm sure. What are you guys doing here today? Maybe it's closed.
I don't know if you were able to see my comedy pajamas or not.
There it is.
Okay.
So I'm it's an example with Jamie and Sam. By the way, I don't know if this is something to talk to my brother Dave about. Judd and we started together. When Dave and I and Jonathan Shapiro were at, he probably told you about the international conference we were at.
Yes.
We had a discussion about this in Jonathan's case, homicide, but one of the things we ran into is because for the most part, other countries' television production businesses have not evolved quite in keeping with ours for a whole bunch of political business reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, there seems to be an appetite to learn American ways of, but not yet by directly from Americans. Right? Whether it's protectionist or not, there's an assumption that, well, our own writer know our audiences and they stand.
Yes.
If you get taken out of that show or any others that fit your idea, and part of your research, how do you look for that?
Well, I am directly in the thick of what you are talking about, Mitch. I haven't. All right, it's sort of a two-part thing. I haven't directly taken these shows out for international yet. I'm just starting this thing with Jamie, and I'm talking only to Americans at Sony about the thing that I want to do. But exactly what I'm doing in Russia right now is exactly that, and that's what I am showing them. I am building a Russian team to do adapt American television for their local markets, and that's what Sony and these other studios are doing around the world. And so I go there, and it's a blessing and a curse. They're like, "Oh my God, the American expert is here." They love you and they resent you at the same time, and yet they don't know how to do it. They're like, sometimes I say it's like teaching people how to farm, but I keep having to pointing to where the dirt is. Their level is so basic sometimes, and the mistakes are so laughable, but they're proud, and particularly with Americans and Russians, they can be very distrustful, and we could do it ourselves, but they know they can't. So there's the doing of it, the consulting, which is a combination of they depend on you, but they resent you at the same time.
Just one quick question. Are you in Petersburg or Moscow? What are you?
And I think it's like that in all of the cities where they're doing shows.
I didn't hear the call. It wasn't me.
Oh, you can't remove him.
I think you have to call me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay.
All right.
Just that one. Are you in Petersburg or where in Russia are you doing this?
In Moscow.
Okay. And okay, so my question is, based on the pilots that you have, the scripts that you have, is there some kind of technique or something you need to know about who to ask for funding for it, or are there different methods based on what it is you want to do, who you should go to ask for funding? Is there like certain things just to navigate with that?
Do you mean with the work I'm doing in Russia? I mean with my own scripts?
Any of it, like any of it, just like script. You know what I mean? Are there different people that say for a drama, like an hour-long drama or something, if it's a period piece, is there someone you should talk to specifically about that? Or if it's a 30-minute comedy for something, is there someone else you should talk to about that?
Yeah, well, that's about. I mean, that's about doing really doing your homework. I mean, for example, I worked with a woman for a long time in comedy who is now an executive at NBC International Scripted. I just had a meeting with her, and because I know she does this, I gave her my script that I'm trying to produce overseas and then bring back to America because I know she does it. So that's where homework comes in. This comedy that I'm working on with Jamie, because I'm working with Sony International, I got them interested in it because I know they do it and they do these adaptations. And with my experience in doing adaptations in the last 2 years, I thought, well, this one's a no-brainer. I'll go to Sony first. I have the connections. If Sony doesn't want to do it, there are other companies that do it, but I figured, well, I'll use the best connection I have right now that I know is doing this kind of project. A lot of that really is common sense. You know, if you're going to sell bagels, go to the bagel store. Don't go to the furniture store.
Judd, as you are adapting successfully American sitcoms for the Russian market, you talked about just that experience from a business standpoint. What are you finding creatively when you come back? How is that experience informing your new stuff?
Well, very directly, and this is again a personal thing. I've had some experiences while I was over there that completely and utterly inspired me to write this screenplay, which is coming so quickly to me and easily. I say now, I'll probably bog down. That's a personal, creative experience that completely came out of my trips to Russia. So, as a writer, very much so. It's not really informing my. Let me go back. The work that I'm doing to adapt is a different part of my brain, obviously, than the work I do to create. But what it has done, because there's a language barrier, as a showrunner, I have had to slow down and really listen to people and pick my words and my notes very, very carefully because the translations have to be so precise to get my point across that everything I've done for years automatically, I've had to stop and rethink. So when they thanked me for my help over there, I thank them for making me a better showrunner. It's made me a better listener. It's made me a better note giver because I'm thinking more specifically. It made me slow down as a showrunner. So that's helped focus my efforts.
I wanted to ask you about a different aspect of time in relation to those shows. You talked earlier about your enthusiasm for embracing the limited series form, right? Which is now finally coming to the States in the way that we've seen it in England and other places overseas for years. Well, one of the things that's been a hallmark of those is because many of the shows, whether you go back to Monty Python or Absolutely Fabulous, or Office recently, were done in either by the government-funded agencies or by the commercial ones, where they were not under the same pressure to make as many episodes a season, or even to deliver a series every season. So you often would have those. They didn't call them showrunners, but the creative forces taking off 2 or 3 years between shows, right?
Yeah.
Are you seeing any adaptations of that from a business standpoint as it comes to the States? In other words, if you're lucky enough to sell, let's call it a 6-episode comedy of your creation, would the buying network then let you say, oh, I'm not going to deliver the next one for 2 years, or would you be under the same pressure, you feel, to still deliver somewhat regularly?
Well, I don't think Mitch, I don't think a major broadcast network would do a 6-episode comedy. I think you'd have to go to Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or something, some specialized place. The economics just don't work. You know, I remember we adapted years ago, we did an American version of Fawlty Towers, and which there were, you know, nobody knows this, there were only 12 episodes of Fawlty Towers, and there were 3 or 4 years in between. What a broadcast company would do is say, you know, we love the idea of a limited comedy, now make 100 of them. They would immediately say, make it unlimited.
Which, by the way, is exactly what NBC did with The Office.
Exactly. It's what they did with us, what they wanted to do with us with Fawlty Towers. So I think you'd have to go to a specialized company where, you know, I mean, look, Louis C.K. on Fox, Comedy Central rather. That's not a traditional schedule. It's off, it's on, right? I mean, they're not doing 25 a year. But that's a very, let's see, you'd have to go to a smaller place to do that kind of a thing. The same thing with the limited drama series.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
A question. Earlier in the semester, Mitch asked us to watch a documentary, Showrunners, on Netflix.
Yes.
And a lot of aspects of it are very new to me, but the one part that I had a question on was when you receive notes from the network. You know, I wrote out my questions on that.
That's okay.
They detail the process of dealing with networks when they have their own notes that can potentially disrupt the vision you have for a particular episode. They also mentioned about knowing exactly what hill you want to die on, so you don't eventually become a problem in the writer's room. My question is, how do you compromise with the demands of the network when it comes to the development of the script? They're happy and still create a product that your writer room is happy with on a consistent basis.
Well, I'll give you. There's a secret answer that I will give all of you guys, and you can take this into your careers. It's 4 magic words, and the words are, "I'll look at that." You get into a network meeting, and they give you some crazy idea, and you go, "I'll look at that." Sometimes it's 5 words. I'll take a look at that. It goes back to what I said earlier. Number one, as a writer-creator, you want to be authentic. You want to be true to yourself, because if you take a network note about a character or a story and say yes, and you're 6 episodes in and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you've said yes to something you can't solve anymore, it doesn't help anybody. So, for example, if they change they want to change the core thing in the show, and it's not your vision, you can say yes, and then you won't be able to write it. So you have to know when to stand up and when to sit down. And when you're younger and starting out, those battles are harder to fight if you don't have the clout behind you. It's like, I don't know, guys. It's very specific to you and to your project. But in your heart, you have to know that wasn't what we sold. That's not what we sold. We can't do it. You have to be tactful. You have to lie sometimes. You have to say yes and put it in a draft, knowing that in the draft after that, it's going to come out. I mean, there are a lot of little techniques you can do battle to battle. But the most important answer is you're the guy or the woman who's going to have to solve the problem at 2 in the morning. It better be a problem you can solve. If it's their problem, they're going to be home. They're going to be home in bed when you're going to be in the writer's room, trying to dig yourself out of a hole you created for yourself by saying yes. I don't know if Mitch told you, but one of the shows I did earlier in my career was Coach. It was very successful with this mentor that I'm writing the movie on. And last year, you know, Mitch, we were rebooting Coach, and it died for this very reason. There was a note that Barry Kemp just did not want to take. And the network basically got into a pushing match, and the network canceled the show.
Is it not hard enough to navigate the business and create an network? When you're giving those sort of notes, are you thinking all about the the model you are setting, the example you're setting with your younger writers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because one of the other things, and you guys should know this, is that when you have a room that's working, when you hire somebody that you really get along with, that is really a good lieutenant or sergeant or infantry, I'm going from baseball to the military, somebody who really can help you, you really want to work with them for a long time. You want to hold on to them. So part of being a showrunner is being a teacher and a mentor yourself. So yes, you really want to show them how you do it. If it's something that is working for you, yeah, you want to take somebody under your wing and show them a face that hopefully they'll use when they're in the same position.
While some of the students are thinking their questions, I wanted to go back to something you said about early in your career when you, or I think probably you and John together, your whole firm, were the guys very much in demand, right? You were,
yes.
Stretch, you were the new guys in town. It was great that you came from New York. That was a little different. It was great that you came on in documentaries. That was some distinction. And then ultimately, best of all, you guys distinguished yourself because you proved it. You really had the track record as writers. I'm not trying to go back so much to Rebecca's questions about schmoozing, but are there other things that you think the students should think about in addition to obviously just working on their craft that have to do with, let's say, not just the original element of getting known in the first place when out there, but in the early years, things about presenting themselves, either as individuals or as members of teams?
Well, I'm gonna go back to an answer that I gave earlier. You want to become indispensable to the room. You want to become. It's like a PA on a show. A PA on a show. The coffee just shows up. The script just shows up on your desk. It's collated properly. They're almost invisible, and you want to be an incredibly. You want to be irreplaceable and invisible as a young writer at the same time. And I don't mean invisible without a voice. You don't want to be a pain in the ass. You don't want to be a problem. You don't want to be needy. You want to be. Your goal is, how do I help the show run? So when everybody comes in for coffee in the morning and you're shooting the shit for 15 minutes, you want to have thought about a story or a fix or a joke or two the night before. So you can come in and you can be the first person to say, I thought about that problem in the second act, and what if, what if Phil fell off the couch and hurt his ankle again? Even if it's just a conversation starter, it proves you're thinking about the show all the time. You are saying to the showrunner, how can I help you? How can I add to your, how can I alleviate the pressure that you have? I have a story idea. I have an arc idea. I have a joke idea. I have a fix idea. I have a trim idea. I have a casting idea. You want to be offering all the time without making noise, without being, hear me make noise, I'm just jabbering. You want to offer really good solutions, really good help. You want to help as much as you can. It's really, really important, and those are the people that keep working all the time.
Hey, Judd, I try to tell folks who work for me, share with them a similar lesson that I got from an early boss in my career, which is just sort of the metaphor of you guys, at some point you are lucky enough to be working for Judd on one of his shows. You want to be the person where when he sees you at a distance across the lot, his stomach doesn't like, Andrew's bringing me a problem, right? He should instantly be thinking, oh, good, Andrew's bringing me a solution.
Exactly.
Be the walking solution to whatever it is. And at the very least, don't be, the thing gumming up the works. Don't be the thing that is making more of a problem in an already difficult process.
Hi, it's Stephanie again.
Hi.
Okay, so I've heard stories about like writers being on set and like changing like scripts as they go like on set. And I've also heard stories of like, you know, productions taking place on in New York, and the writers are all the way back in LA. So I'm curious what role the writers have. Also curious what role the actors have in the writers' room, and if it's different in comedy and drama.
Good question. Okay, in television, the writer, creator, has got great power, and much more so than in film. So the showrunner, I mean, the network of the studio is always looking to the showrunner for all the answers, all the, you know, directions, everything. As you go down the chain in that writer's room, you know, co-executive producer is going to have a stronger voice and more pull than a producer or a co-producer or a story editor. You know, it's just that's how the hierarchy works. And in terms of the actors, if you have an actor who is the star of a show and unfortunately maybe an executive producer, or the show is built around that actor, they're going to have more voice and more pull and power and influence than a day player, say. So that varies project to project. Now, when you're on set, a day player or a guest star might come up with a question, but they're not going to have much influence. A star is going to say, I don't want to do this, or what if we did this? You know, I've worked with stars of shows who were so creative and so wonderful, who maybe had a writing background, and I welcome their input. I've had others who are just egomaniacs who just want different things just to be different or make problems, and it's a pain in the ass. And I rarely want an actor in the writer's room, almost ever, never. It's usually a problem. It's never a help. I'm not sure I answered your question about the New York, LA thing, writers in the room, or, networks in LA and writers in the room. I've done that too. Okay.
Hi, I'm Bree, and related to the New York, Los Angeles thing, what do you think is the best thing for us to do while in New York to start our writing career, especially if we don't really want to go into late night writing, which is the main writing rooms that are here?
Right. Let's see. I'm a little out of sort of the New York get started in the New York marketplace, but when people say what should we do as writers in New York, I would say the same thing that you should do as writers in Bora Bora. You should write. Always be writing. You know, you all still need agents, unless you're going to write something and shoot it and put it on YouTube or become an internet sensation where you don't need any representation. But to do this at the level I think you want to be, you want to write a great script, you want to find an agent. It's a necessary evil.
How did you find your agent?
I was in New York, and what I did was very old school. I looked at the shows that I loved on television. I wrote down the names of the writers. Then I called the Writers Guild, and I found out who represented them. And then I wrote a lot of letters to those agents until somebody finally read me. I did end up with an agent in New York because I was working for HBO doing documentaries. And they asked us to write kind of a comedy documentary kind of a thing. And that script got me my first agent in New York.
Thanks.
Okay.
Judd, shifting gears a little bit, I'm curious. You talked about working with actors. When it comes to working with directors, what does the writer in you look for from a director in interpreting and bringing to life the writing? But equally, what does the producer in you look to your directors for in the running of your business, which is the show?
Right. Another really good question. So I've worked with directors who, and I'm a director as well, and I've worked with directors who and I only once, who will sort of phone in a show, and they don't really bring a lot to the party, and I never work with them. I wouldn't work with them again. The directors that I've worked with that I love will come to me at the end of the day and say, don't change the thing at the end of the first act. I can make it work. You'll see it tomorrow. I know I can make it work. And I trust them. Jamie's one of them. Or he'll come to the room at the end of the day of rehearsal and say, it's just not going to work on page 15. It just doesn't, they can't do it, or I can't do it, or will you come down and help? And they're incredibly collaborative. And they always bring more to the party. It's like what Mitch said about the writer across the lot. Oh my God, here comes the solution man. A director who really embraces and understands the show, and a director with some sense of story, some sense of flow, who might say, has a writer's hat and says, the show is wrapping up too quickly. It's not satisfying. Can maybe write an extra page, write an extra half a page. That's what I love in a director, a really collaborative director. Somebody who will bring business and have blocking, not just to sit on a couch or not just to get up and walk across the room, but to incorporate a character's motivation or quirks and come up with some funny physical business. I mean, that's, especially in television, it's great. So I'm very hard on directors. I demand a lot because I like every moment in those 45 pages to have some juice, to have some richness. Even the silences have to be rich and have to be well placed and well timed. And then, of course, there's the technical capabilities of the director. Somebody who knows how to efficiently shoot a show well in multi-camera, in multi and single camera. And in terms of the business, the producer and the director on the set, I've had directors, believe it or not, who've been divisive, who think that the set is a high school and they have favorites on the set, and the people who are not the favorites don't put their best work out. The people who are the favorites, directors who'll buddy up to stars to look for their next piece of work. And you're like, that's ridiculous, you know? So you see some very immature behavior sometimes from people who should be professional. And these are things you have to look out for.
This next question probably requires a degree of self-awareness. I think you have it. I'm just curious to know, how would you describe, among all the constituencies that you have to deal with, networks, studios, production companies, younger writers, experienced writers, whatever, what do you think what are you best known for as writer and producer? And is it consistent across all those realms?
Well, let's see. For a while, specifically, I was known for somebody who could deal with asshole stars and wrangle them because I have a very thick skin and I've fought a lot of battles. So I was doing that. I was known, and with my partner, shows that were in trouble, they would bring us in. In fact, Mitch, I heard a funny thing where we'd come in to save a show, and younger writers who had been in a lot of other shows would say, when their show is in trouble, in that room they would say, I wonder when Pillot and Peasley are coming over. We had a reputation of that, like that. But I think personally, I think I'm known as somebody who is really flexible, and like I've done family comedy. I've done ensemble comedy. I've done single star-driven comedy. I think I'm reliable. You know, I'm like, you know, guys, I'm not a superstar. I've had a long, as Mitch can attest to, I've had a long and steady career. I've never had a gigantic hit show. I've come close, but I'm like the guy that keeps going out there and playing. I'm Peyton Manning without the rings. You know, I get knocked down. I keep getting up, maybe a little slower, but I'm reliable and professional and collaborative is what I think I'm known for, and humility.
Well, with that, Judd, thank you. We want to be mindful of your time. This I know has been tremendously helpful for the students. You see, I hope you can see the number of nods you're getting here. I'm hoping the video is clear.
Now it's great. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Do you mind if any of the students want to reach out to you at any point in the course of the semester and just ask any further questions that may come up?
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Great.
I will say again, let me say again, Mitch. Guys, I've done a lot of this. I've done it in a lot of places in the world and a lot of colleges and stuff. You guys are just asking the best, most useful questions, really, as a group, I think I've heard in one sitting. So congratulations to you guys for your thought process.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, and for all your expertise. And I'm hoping to be in LA soon, so I'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
All right, Judd, thank you again.
Okay, bye.